a marker of stress. So cortisol is released by our adrenals.
Saying a stress, you did say this, a stress responsive saber-toothed tiger jumps out. The problem is that, hi everybody, and welcome to the Kidney Coach YouTube channel. I am naturopath and co-founder of the Kidney Disease Solution and Kaigenesis, Fiona and I'm joined again today by another amazing naturopath, Emily Cahill. And so why don't you start, Emily, with a bit of a definition of what you perceive, and if a patient came in and you're thinking, well, they're stressed and they may not have recognized that. So what is it? What is stress? Like, what does it look like? How do we define it? And how do we know if our patients are stressed?
I think there's a few different things we need to think about when we're assessing stress or talking about stress, because I'll often have clients coming in, and when I start to talk about their stress levels, oh no, my stress isn't very high. I can manage it, all those sorts of things, because people perceive stress as just being that feeling of feeling stressed or overwhelmed, like that sort of, I guess, emotional connection to what they think stress feels like. And yes, that's certainly a part of stress, and it's certainly something that we talk about. But we also need to look at stress, in its bigger context, which is anything that is, that I guess is stressful on the body, or anything that puts the body out of balance, or anything that the body needs to work harder to deal with. So yes, our emotions are definitely a massive part of that, and that can definitely affect our physiology of our body. But also the food we eat can potentially be stressful on our body. The toxins that we're exposed to is another form of stress. Physical activity, too much or too little, can be stressful on the body.
So what type of neurochemical changes do we expect to see in someone with chronic stress? How would we know from a blood test? What would that look like?
Yeah. So probably, cortisol is a marker of stress. So cortisol is released by our adrenals when our sort of sympathetic nervous system switched on. It's normal to have a certain amount of cortisol in the body because, it's necessary. But when people are chronically stressed, we can see different things. We can see really high levels of cortisol. So, our adrenals are really pumping out that kind of, that hormone. And chronically over time, we can actually end up seeing low levels of cortisol, where our body's just not able to keep up anymore with the production. So that's probably, I guess, the most common test I would do when sort of trying to have an idea of stress and the effect that stress is having on the body.
Yeah, and like you say, it's like the cortisol naturally rises, but it can stay up for quite a while before it slowly comes into the low cortisol phase. And I guess when we see people with super low cortisol, that's when people should generally be symptomatic, because they'll be thinking they have something like chronic fatigue is generally, which is obviously an end result of long-term chronic stress. And I can't remember if you said this, but there's nothing wrong with stress. Like you were saying, you did say this, a stress responsive saber-toothed tiger jumps out. The problem is that our lives, we sit in front of a computer and we've got mortgages and marriages, or crappy relationships, or the boss at work, or, and whatever it is. And so you've got a saber-toothed tiger jumping out at you 24/7 in all these different forms. And we are not getting up and using our fight or flight reaction. We are sitting down stationary with elevated cortisol, and we're not burning it off. And so that's part of that problem, I guess, is stress is a good thing, but we don't activate the body the way that stress response is make us do, which is to run away, because of the types of our saber-toothed tigers have turned into computers. So, we don't burn off the stress hormones that we used to. So I just wanted to add that in there. So if you've liked this video, make sure you hit subscribe and hit the like button. That means you'll get notified anytime we create new content. And thank you again for joining me and sharing your wisdom with everybody. And I think I said hit like and subscribe, and see you next time. Bye.
Bye.